A cold Starbucks cup sweated onto the polished conference table as the teen's phone buzzed again and again in her pocket like a trapped bee, and the man in the tailored suit leaned back in his chair with a smile that wasn't kind and said, "So you're telling us you're the heiress?" And the room let out that quiet corporate laugh people do when they want to be on the winning side, and the teen swallowed hard because her throat felt like sand. And then the board chair's assistant stepped in, breathless, holding a folder like it was heavy, and the smile on the man's face started to slip before anyone even opened it. The lobby of Hartwell Investments smelled like lemon cleaner and expensive perfume, the kind that stuck in the air after someone walked past, and the lights were bright enough to make every smudge on the marble floor look like a mistake, and Asha stood near the security desk with a backpack that had a frayed strap she kept pretending not to notice. She was 16, tall in a way that made adults assume she was older, and she wore her hair pulled back tight because it helped her feel put together even when everything else wasn't. She kept her hands in her hoodie pocket, fingers wrapped around a cheap plastic bus card, and she watched the revolving doors like they might suddenly spit out the one person she needed to see. Asha had never been inside a place like this before, not for real. She had walked past buildings like it, downtown, on school field trips when teachers warned the class not to touch anything. This time she was alone. Her mother, Nia, was at her nursing shift, and her little brother was at a neighbor's apartment eating cereal and watching cartoons, and Asha was doing the thing she had promised herself she would do even though she hated the way it made her chest tight. Her phone screen showed the same missed call again, the same voicemail icon, the same one message she had played so many times she could mouth the words before they landed. It was a man's voice, older, careful, like he was trying not to break something, saying her name like he had practiced it. He said he was sorry. He said he had made mistakes. He said he needed to speak to her about her father, about arrangements, about the trust. He said he knew she might not believe him. He said, "Please don't let someone else tell you who you are." Asha had deleted the message twice and then fished it back out of the trash folder because she couldn't stand not knowing. She had grown up in a 2-bedroom apartment in Baltimore where the radiator clanged like it was arguing with itself and the neighbors always had their TV too loud. She had grown up watching her mom count cash at the kitchen table, lips moving as she did the math. She had grown up hearing people tell her to be realistic. College, maybe, if she got scholarships. A job, definitely. Helping at home, always. That was the deal. So when the letter came in the mail, thick paper, a return address that looked like it belonged to someone who owned a boat, it felt like a prank. Her mom had stared at it in silence, then laughed once like a hiccup, then went into the bathroom and shut the door. Asha had stood outside that door listening to the faucet run for a long time. The letter said there was a trust. It said there had been an instruction that when Asha turned 16, she was to be notified. It said there would be a meeting with the board of a family foundation connected to Hartwell Investments. It said to bring identification. It said her presence was urgent. It did not say, in plain words, "You are the heir." It said everything around it, like people who were afraid to say the quiet part out loud. Now, in the lobby, Asha watched a man in a gray suit speak to the receptionist without even looking at her face. He laughed at something on his phone. He looked like someone who had never waited for the bus in winter.
Asa stepped forward anyway.
"I'm here for a meeting," she said, and her voice came out steadier than she felt. The security guard glanced at her, then at her backpack, then at her face again like he was trying to figure out what category to put her in. "Name. Asha Reed," she said. "I have an appointment with the Hartwell Foundation Board." He lifted an eyebrow, and the receptionist looked up now, her expression polite but already tired. She typed with long nails. Her smile tightened. "I'm not seeing." Asha reached into her pocket and pulled out the letter. Her fingers shook just enough that she hated herself for it. She slid the paper across the counter like it might bite her. The receptionist took it, scanned it, and her posture changed in a way Asha had learned to notice in teachers when something serious was happening. The receptionist didn't smile anymore. She picked up the phone. She said something low, then looked at Asha again, more carefully this time, like she had finally noticed the details.
The worn sneakers.
The school ID clipped to the backpack strap. The way Asha's shoulders stayed up near her ears like she was bracing. Okay, the receptionist said. Yes. They're expecting you. She motioned toward the elevators. Take that one.
Floor 36. Someone will meet you.
Asha nodded like she belonged there and walked to the elevator with her heart pounding so hard she wondered if other people could hear it. Inside the elevator, she stared at her own reflection in the mirrored wall. She looked like a kid playing dress-up in an adult world. Her hoodie wasn't even new. Her jeans were clean but faded. She thought about her mom's hands, rough from work, holding a coffee mug with a chip in it. She thought about the way her little brother clung to her leg when he got scared at night. She thought about what it would mean if any of this was real. She thought about what it would mean if it wasn't. The doors opened onto a carpeted hallway that smelled like fresh paper and air conditioning. A woman in a navy blazer stood waiting with a tablet in her hands. She smiled politely. Asha Reed? She asked. Yes, Asha said. I'm Jenna, the woman said. Come with me. They walked past glass-walled offices where people talked without laughing. Asha saw a wall of framed magazine covers with the Hartwell name on them. She saw a conference room full of men and women around a long table. Water glasses. Laptops. Little name plates. It looked like a TV show, except nobody was trying to be charming. Jenna paused outside a door. Before you go in, she said quietly, I just want you to know, there are a lot of opinions in that room.
Don't take it personally if someone gets up. This is complicated.
Asha stared at her. Why would it be sharp? I'm just here because they told me to come. Jenna's eyes softened, and for a second she looked less like a corporate assistant and more like a person. I know, she said. Just breathe. Jenna opened the door, and Asha walked in. Every head turned at once. The air felt heavier. A man near the end of the table, mid-50s, silver hair, expensive watch, leaned back like he was judging a restaurant menu. His name plate read, Clayton Hartwell. He looked Asha up and down and laughed under his breath like he couldn't help it. This is the surprise, he said, not even trying to keep his voice down. A kid with a backpack?
Asa's face went hot.
She felt it climb up her neck. She forced herself not to look at the floor. A woman near the front, older, with short gray curls, tapped her pen against the table like she was impatient with the whole situation. Mr. Hartwell, she said, let's keep this professional. Clayton lifted both hands like he was harmless. I'm just trying to understand, he said, eyes on Asha. So you're claiming to be the heiress. To what, exactly? Because last I checked, the Hartwell trusts don't just land on random teenagers. Asha's mouth went dry. She reached into her pocket and pulled out her school ID and her birth certificate copy like she had rehearsed this in her head 100 times.
Her fingers trembled again.
She hated that part most of all. I didn't claim anything, she said. I got a letter.
It told me to come.
Clayton smirked. Letters can be forged. Asha felt something crack open inside her, not anger exactly, more like exhaustion. She had lived her whole life feeling like she had to prove she deserved space. In classrooms. At stores where employees watched her too closely. In doctors' offices where her mom got treated like she was lying about pain. She thought she had come here for answers, not to be questioned like a suspect. The board chair, the woman with gray curls, held up a hand. We have counsel present, she said. We have documentation. We are not doing this off vibes. Asha stood there, shoulders tight, trying not to blink too much. Her phone buzzed again, and she didn't look because she couldn't handle seeing another unknown number. Clayton's eyes flicked to her pocket. Let me guess, he said. Your mom got hold of some old family story and decided it was payday. Asha's vision blurred for a second, and she forced it back. She wasn't going to cry here. Not in front of him. That's not my mom, she said, and she surprised herself with how flat her voice sounded. She didn't even want me to come. That made a few faces shift. A man in glasses on the other side of the table looked down at a folder, then back up at Asha like he was actually seeing her now. Jenna slipped into the room behind Asha and quietly set a sealed envelope near the board chair. The board chair opened it slowly, like she understood the moment had wait. She pulled out documents, glanced over them, then looked at Clayton. Clayton still wore that smug expression, but his jaw was tighter now. The chair cleared her throat. Before we go any further, she said, I want everyone to be clear. We have received verification from our outside firm. We have the paternity confirmation. We have the trust instrument. We have the directive. Clayton's smile twitched. Paternity, he repeated, like the word tasted bad. Asha's knees felt weak. She gripped the edge of the chair nearest to her just to stay steady. The board chair looked at Asha, and her tone softened. Asha, she said, I know this is a lot, but the board has confirmed your identity. You are the named beneficiary.
Clayton blinked once.
Twice. The color drained out of his face so fast it was almost scary. He opened his mouth like he had something ready, some clever comeback, and nothing came out. Asha stared at the woman, trying to understand the words. Named beneficiary. Confirmed. Identity. It felt like someone had turned the volume down on the world. Her phone buzzed again. This time, without thinking, she pulled it out. The caller ID read, unknown, and beneath it, a voicemail notification. Her thumb hovered over it. Across the table, Clayton's hand shook as he reached for his water glass. And Asha realized, in one sharp, dizzy second, that this wasn't going to make her life easier in the way people joked about money doing. This was going to change her life in a way that would test every part of her. Because if this was real, then somebody had kept it from her. Somebody had decided she didn't deserve to know. And she was standing in a room full of people who were about to start fighting over what her name meant. The meeting ended without ceremony. No applause. No speeches. Just papers gathered into neat stacks and people standing up like they had places to be, like a 16-year-old girl's entire sense of self hadn't just been flipped upside down in a glass conference room. Asha walked out with the same backpack on her shoulders, the same scuffed sneakers touching the carpet, but everything inside her felt heavier, like gravity had quietly increased. Jenna walked her to the elevator again. This time, Jenna didn't talk about schedules or next steps. She just stood there, arms folded loosely, watching Asha press the button. You okay? Jenna asked, not in the polite corporate way, but softer, like she actually expected an honest answer. Asha thought about lying. She thought about saying, yeah, fine, thanks. Instead, she shrugged. I don't know what I'm supposed to feel. Jenna nodded like that made sense. That tracks.
The elevator doors closed.
Asha stared at the floor numbers lighting up and felt like she was sinking instead of going down. When the doors opened in the lobby, the smell of lemon cleaner hit her again, grounding and unreal at the same time. She walked past the security desk without anyone stopping her now. No second glance. No raised eyebrow. That part bothered her more than it should have. Outside, the city felt louder. Cars honked. Someone argued into a phone. A man pushed a cart of bottled water down the sidewalk. Asha stood still for a moment, just breathing, then pulled her phone out again. 3 missed calls.
2 voicemails.
Same number. She didn't listen to them yet. She took the bus home because she didn't know what else to do. She sat near the back, pressed against the window, watching buildings slide by like scenes from a movie she wasn't sure she wanted to finish. Her reflection stared back at her in the glass, eyes tired, mouth set in a straight line. She looked like herself. That helped. When she got off near her apartment, the sky was already starting to turn gray. The air smelled like rain and hot pavement. She climbed the stairs 2 at a time, unlocked the door, and stepped into the familiar chaos of home.
Stus by the wall.
A stack of unopened mail on the counter. Her brother's toy car upside down near the couch. Her mom wasn't home yet. Asha dropped her backpack and sat at the kitchen table. She rested her forehead against the cool wood and closed her eyes. For the first time all day, she let herself feel it. The fear.
De confusión.
The quiet anger that had nowhere to go. She finally played the voicemail. The man's voice filled the kitchen, careful and low. He said her name again. He said he knew today was important. He said he hadn't been allowed to contact her directly before. He said he hadn't fought hard enough, and he lived with that every day. He said he wanted to explain, if she would let him. He said, "You don't owe me anything. I just didn't want you to hear the truth from strangers."
Asa una pan satterin sailens. Anak kame atedor. 3 light taps.
She opened it to find Mrs. Alvarez from down the hall holding a small container with a lid that didn't quite fit. She smiled, eyes warm, gray hair pulled back like always. "I made too much soup," Mrs. Alvarez said. Again.
Asa almost laughed.
Instead, her throat tightened. "Thank you," she said, stepping aside. Mrs. Alvarez set the container on the counter and glanced at Asha's face. "Big day?" she asked. Asha hesitated, then nodded. "Yeah." Mrs. Alvarez didn't push. She never did. She just patted Asha's arm. "Eat something," she said. "Your mother will be late." After she left, Asha poured the soup into a bowl and ate slowly, tasting each bite. It grounded her in a way nothing else had. This was real. This was normal. This was something she understood. Later that night, her mom came home exhausted, shoes kicked off by the door, shoulders slumped. She looked at Asha sitting at the table and froze. "You went," her mom said quietly. Asha nodded. They sat across from each other for a long time without speaking. Finally, her mom rubbed her face with both hands. "I was afraid," she said.
"Not of the money."
"Of what it would do to you." Asha swallowed. "I think it already did something." Her mom reached across the table and took her hand. "Whatever happens," she said, "we decide together." That night, Asha lay in bed staring at the ceiling. She replayed the day in pieces.
Clayton's face.
The board chair's voice.
Llenas quiet kainis. Mrs. Alvarez soup.
The voicemail. She realized the unexpected connection wasn't the trust or the board or the name tied to money. It was the small moments where people chose to see her as human instead of a problem to solve. It was the way her mom held her hand. The way Jenna warned her without obligation. The way a neighbor showed up with soup. For the first time since the letter arrived, Asha felt something shift inside her. Not confidence.
Not certainty.
Just the smallest crack where possibility could get in. Her phone buzzed again.
Another voicemail.
This time, she didn't delete it. She just stared at the screen, breathing, knowing that whatever came next wouldn't be easy, but it would be hers to face. The pressure didn't arrive all at once. It came in small, relentless pieces, like water dripping into a cup that Asha kept forgetting to empty. Emails started landing in an inbox her mom helped her set up, all written in careful language that pretended she wasn't 16. Subject lines about next steps and fiduciary responsibility. Calls from numbers she didn't recognize. People who said her name like they already owned a version of her. At school, nothing looked different, but everything felt off. Asha sat in the same desk, listened to the same teachers, laughed at the same jokes, Yet she felt like she was watching herself from a few feet away. When a classmate complained about their parents cutting their allowance, Asha stared at her notebook and wondered what it meant to have something people expected you to live up to without ever asking if you wanted it. Her mom tried to keep things normal. Dinner at the same time. Laundry on Sundays. Bills still paid with care. But Asha noticed the way her mom's jaw tightened when the phone rang. The way she reread emails late at night, glasses slipping down her nose. The way she said, "We'll talk about it later," more often than before. The man from the voicemail finally got a name. Her biological father.
Marcus Harwell.
Clayton's younger brother. Dead for 3 years. That part landed hard. Asha learned it from a lawyer's email, not from him.
A quiet sentence buried halfway down the page.
Mr. Marcus Hartwell passed in 2022. No explanation. No apology.
Just a fact, like a closing door.
She sat on her bed and read it again and again, waiting for the sadness to show up the way movies said it should. It didn't. What came instead was anger, sharp and confusing. Anger at a man she never met for leaving behind something so big it was now bending her life out of shape. Anger at the people who had known and stayed silent. Anger at herself for caring. The first in-person follow-up meeting was scheduled for a Saturday morning.
Downtown again. Another conference room.
This time, Asha wore a borrowed blazer from her cousin that was a little too big in the shoulders. She felt like she was trying to protect herself with fabric. Clayton was there. He didn't smile this time. He didn't laugh. He barely looked at her. That almost hurt more. The lawyers talked. The board talked.
Words stacked on words.
Long explanations about fiduciary duty, public scrutiny, and timing. Someone mentioned the press. Someone else said the word image. Asha's head started to ache. At one point, a woman with perfect posture leaned forward and said, "You need to understand, Asha, this comes with expectations. Education choices. Public appearances.
How you present yourself."
Asha looked at her. "I'm still in high school," she said. The woman smiled like that was cute. "Of course. We're just thinking ahead." That was when something inside Asha finally snapped, not loudly, but cleanly, like a rope pulled too tight. "I didn't ask for this," she said. The room went quiet in that way that made her heart race. Clayton looked up now. "I didn't ask to be here," Asha continued, her voice shaking despite her effort. "I didn't ask for money or a name or whatever you think this is. You all act like I showed up demanding something. I didn't."
You sent for me. No one interrupted her.
She stood up without meaning to. Her legs trembled. "You keep talking about responsibility. About image. About what this costs you. No one has asked me what this costs me." Her mom reached for her hand, but Asha kept going, words spilling out because she didn't know how to stop them. "I have a life already," she said. "I have a family. I have plans that didn't include any of this. And now everyone looks at me like I'm a problem that needs managing." Clayton cleared his throat. "This isn't personal," he said.
Asa laughed once, short and bitter. "It feels personal when you look at me like I don't belong." Silence again.
He didn't answer that. The meeting ended early. Not because anything was resolved, but because there was nowhere else to go. On the way out, Asha's mom hugged her tight in the elevator, not caring who saw. "I'm proud of you," she whispered. Asha nodded, but the relief was short-lived. That night, Asha couldn't sleep.
She lay awake listening to the radiator hiss and pop.
Her phone rested on her chest, heavy. She opened the last voicemail she hadn't listened to yet. Marcus's voice sounded tired. "I know you're angry," he said. "You have every right to be. I didn't protect you the way I should have. I thought money could wait. I thought I had time. I was wrong.
Asa pressed her lips together.
She hated that his voice sounded sincere. She hated that she would never get to yell at him, never get answers in real time. I don't expect forgiveness, the voicemail continued. I just wanted you to know that you were never a secret to me. You were the part of my life I didn't know how to fit into the world I came from. The message ended. Asha stared at the ceiling, tears slipping sideways into her hair. This was the breaking point, she realized.
Not the boardroom.
Not Clayton's mocking smile. It was this quiet understanding that some losses didn't come with closure. Some questions stayed unanswered forever. She wiped her face with the sleeve of her hoodie and sat up. Tomorrow, she would still be herself. Still Asha. Not an image. Not an asset. Not a problem. But she also knew she couldn't pretend this wasn't happening anymore. She had to decide how much of it she would let define her. The noise didn't disappear after that night, but it changed shape. It stopped feeling like something chasing Asha and started feeling like something she could step around if she paid attention. That realization didn't come all at once. It showed up in small choices.
Ordinary ones.
The kind people don't usually think of as brave. The first choice was school. Asha asked her guidance counselor for a meeting, sat in the plastic chair with the loose screw, and talked about colleges like nothing had changed. No mention of trusts or boards.
Just grades, applications, deadlines.
When the counselor asked if there was anything else she should know, Asha paused, then shook her head. Walking out of that office, she felt lighter than she had in weeks. The second choice was boundaries. Her mom helped her draft a short email to the lawyers. Polite. Clear. It said that Asha would not be doing interviews. That decisions about education would be made later. That communication would go through one point of contact. No explanations. No apologies. There was pushback. There always was. But there was also a surprising thing that followed.
Silence.
Clayton stopped calling. Life settled into something quieter. The city didn't care who Asha was connected to. The bus still ran late. The grocery store still smelled like overripe fruit and floor cleaner. Mrs. Alvarez still knocked with soup on Sundays. Asha still helped her brother with homework at the kitchen table. One afternoon, weeks later, Asha and her mom sat in a small office with a different kind of advisor. This one talked slowly, asked questions instead of making statements, explained what Asha could access now and what would wait until she was older. He didn't say words like image or expectation. He said things like choice and time. When they left, Asha felt something she hadn't felt since before the letter arrived. Control. On the walk home, her mom stopped at a corner coffee shop and ordered 2 drinks they didn't usually buy. For surviving, her mom said, handing one to Asha. They sat by the window, watching people hurry past. I was scared I'd lose you in all this, her mom admitted quietly.
Asa shook her head.
You didn't. That night, Asha finally deleted the voicemails.
Not out of anger. Not out of denial.
Just because she didn't need them anymore. She kept one thing instead. A copy of a handwritten note she found in the trust documents, written years ago in careful ink. It wasn't dramatic. Just a few lines about wanting her to have options. About hoping she would choose her own life. Asha folded it and put it in a drawer. The next board meeting happened without her. That was her decision. Jenna emailed afterward, not as a representative, just as a person. She wrote that things had settled. That some people were still uncomfortable. That Asha had changed the conversation more than she probably realized. Asha read it and smiled, then closed her laptop and went outside to meet her friends. Spring came. Slowly. Asha got accepted into a summer program she'd applied for months before any of this started. She got a part-time job at a bookstore, shelving novels and ringing up customers who asked for recommendations she loved giving. No one there knew her last name mattered to anyone else. One evening, after closing, she stood alone in the quiet store, lights dimmed, and felt a small, solid pride settle in her chest. Not because she had money somewhere, but because she had built this moment herself. The trust didn't solve her problems. It didn't erase the past. It didn't magically make people kinder. What it gave her was space. Time. The ability to breathe without panic about the next bill. And she learned quickly that those things were tools, not answers. The last time she saw Clayton was months later, in passing, at a public event she attended with her mom by choice. He nodded stiffly. She nodded back. That was it. No victory. No apology. Just two people acknowledging reality. Later that night, Asha lay in bed scrolling through her phone, reading comments on a video someone had posted about unexpected heirs and hidden wealth. Strangers argued in the replies. Some said money ruined people. Some said it saved them. Asha thought about typing something, then stopped. She turned the phone face down and stared at the ceiling, listening to her brother laugh in the other room. The lesson wasn't that money didn't matter. It did. The lesson was that it didn't get to decide who she was. Asha closed her eyes knowing tomorrow would still have weight. Still have questions. Still have moments where people judged before listening. But she also knew this. She had walked into a room where she wasn't expected, stood her ground, and walked out without losing herself. And sometimes, in real life, that's the win that lasts.